Ever feel that life is this big balancing beam and you are spending so much energy trying to keep it level between what you need, but also your family? Well, today I'm going to share with you what was my eureka to help me have more harmony between taking care of my family and my responsibilities and also taking care of myself. I really hope this helps you. Hey friend, do the daily demands of family life leave you exhausted with no time for yourself? Ready to make self-care and healthy boundaries a natural part of your day, all while embracing your roles as a wife and mom? Well, I'm so glad you're here. I'm Christina, married 16 years to a neurodiverse man, mom of 3 neurodiverse kids, and many more roles. Welcome to the Moms in Neurodiverse Families podcast. Get ready to begin your self-care journey. Grab your Santé latte and listen in as we take a small step towards a healthier you. It was late at night. I was exhausted. Finally got the kids down to bed. And I look around the kitchen and I saw so much mess. And I realized, oh gosh, their lunches are not packed for tomorrow morning. And we have an early morning too because there was an appointment we had before school. Those are just awful. And I'm doing this math in my head. I'm like, well, if I do it tomorrow morning, and you know where this is going, right? If I wait to do the lunches the next morning, chances are everything is going to go crazy and it's not going to work out. So I better pack it that night. But then what means I have less sleep and I end up being really exhausted and tired and short-tempered with the kids, which I really, really don't like. And it feels like it's a no-win battle. Like no matter what, I can't meet all the needs of what my spouse and my kids have and at the same time take care of myself. And if you have felt this struggle, I have some hope for you. Something that I didn't have for many years until I began taking the time to really think and pray and read from other wise people who have real experience in balancing difficult, challenging lives. What I would call our lives is complex lives. This is not, I have kids and I'm taking them to school and they're involved in sports, and those moms, they are busy. And please don't think that I'm saying they're not. They are very active. Their schedules are very full, but this is a different level of complexity that you and I are dealing with. This is a complexity that a meltdown can last for 30 minutes to 45 minutes and completely throw away all these great quote unquote goals that you have. I've tried the mainstream and even off-stream methods of making goals and plans, and so much of it is based on the fact of a normal everyday life, as in there's somewhat normal expectations you can have with your family. But if you have a complex life, this is anything from having chronic illnesses, for neurodiversity, even if there's an addiction that your spouse is dealing with. Those are complex lives, and oftentimes the normal traditional methods of planning and of goal setting does not work for us. And I have been there, been so frustrated because I thought the problem was me until I realized there's assumptions being made in these methods, and these assumptions are setting me up for failure. Because when you listen to some of these people, their lives, you hear about, like, yes, they have problems, but their problems have a limited time often that they last. It's a moment where for us, we have trends. I talk about this often, the difference between moments, situations, and trends, long-term, ongoing situations. And if you're a person who is very organized and type A, you may not struggle to carry out what you're hoping your plans are. But for me, even though I am very organized, and my friends would say that I am a planner and that I have like a family command system, and they're amazed by my organization methods. However, it is also coping skills for me to manage all that's going on. So I want to share with you what has been maybe the secret missing sauce for you and what the planner that I will be launching in the future will be addressing. And it is this: the concept of life needs and life roles. There's this balancing beam in life, and there's your life needs, what you need for yourself every single day. Your self-care, your health, all of it is on one side of this. Imagine a seesaw, probably is the best term I can use. On one side is your life needs, and the other side are your life roles. This is being, if you're married, being a wife, being a mom. Also, it means that if you're a daughter and if your parents are older, or maybe you have a sibling who has health issues or a grandparent, that's a role that you are as a caregiver or you're helping out at different times. Work, that can be anything from being an employee or even you're trying to develop career options. Maybe you stopped working back when the kids were younger and things were crazy. And now you realize, like, I need to get back to work. Or it could be volunteers or special projects. There's work that you're doing. And then home. Managing the home is humongous. And with that is financial management. So those are all the different life roles. And this can even be nuanced into smaller areas. But if you can think of this, a seesaw, on one side, your life roles, on the other side, your life needs. And again, like your life needs, we're talking about taking care of your mind, taking care of your health, having community and friendships, and doing things that you enjoy. Those creative outlets, whether it's gardening or crafting, those things need to balance out. When I began looking at my life in comparison of my life roles and my life needs, and I began to imagine this seesaw or teeter-totter, and imagine which side is heavier, has a heavier load, is requiring more time for myself. And I can imagine that teeter-totter almost 100% of the time, it was always my life roles. That side of the teeter-totter was weighed down to the point of touching the ground. There was so much weight, so much time being spent in that. On the other side of that teeter-totter, my life roles, well, that was way up in the air and I could barely even reach that seat. And so when I began seeing life from that perspective, I began to change in how I spent my time and my energy and how I planned activities. And early on, I thought, well, I want to get perfect balance. And I realized that's not possible. I can't do perfect balance in my life, but I can find harmony. There are some times in life, friends, our life roles, they are heavy. You're dealing with a medical issue with your child, or dealing with some complex behavioral issues, or the conflict between you and your spouse every argument seems to go on and have these complexities that increase and leaving you bewildered on why it seems like it's such a crazy conversation that you two are having. And there are moments like that, but the goal is that when the life roles get so heavy, we want to be looking at what can we do to bring more balance and harmony. How we can bring harmony in that our life needs are being met, so that eventually it gets to the point where there is this back and forth that's happening between life roles and life needs, a little bit of up and down, but they are small adjustments. I mean, do you remember being on the playground on a seesaw and teeter-totter, and there's maybe one or two kids on one side and you, maybe a friend or another, and all of a sudden they're whispering and they decide to just jump off the teeter-totter and you go flying in the air, and sometimes you come flying off, and that really stinks, right? So that is what can happen to us when we drop all of our life needs. When we forget to take care of it, we can just come crashing down and go flying in the air because there's not enough support. We need both. Now, if we do all of our life needs, focusing on our mind, our mental health, our physical health, focusing on the community and friends and enjoyment, if that's all that we do, then our hearts will eventually become divas in a bad way, in a way that God never intended. And I am pretty sure that you never want to be. And this can be this misnomer of doing self-care or taking care of your life needs, is that you are being a diva. If you are only taking care of yourself and you are ignoring all your life roles and needs, then yeah, that's an issue. But when you take care of yourself so that you are able to be present and thinking through the different strategies you've learned in communication with your spouse, and you are able to prevent the conversation from nosediving, and instead, possibly you have enough energy to say, hey, let's take a pause and then let's come back and regroup in 5-10 minutes because we're both kind of frustrated. And you do that. And then both of you are able to discuss that. And the reason why you're able to do that in your life role as a wife is because you took care of a life need earlier that day. You took care of something for yourself that helped you. So if you struggle with self-care, with taking care, what I call life needs, then it will really help you to see that connection and imagine that teeter-totter. And this has helped me so much when I have felt exhausted and drained and I was crying over the most ridiculous stuff. And sometimes my husband, in the beginning, he would look at me and like, and now we have talked enough through of like, what should he do when I have those moments? And he knows that he walks over, he gives me a hug, and he just holds me. And he kind of, in his mind, he kind of thinks through like, okay, I think this is appropriate time. And then he asks me like, hey, how are you doing? And then sometimes just having that hug helped me out. But the only reason that we've gotten to the point of having this type of exchange is because of the moments I did to take care of myself, and then also learning about relationships and communicating with him. Taking care of my own needs, I am able to be more present for him. And the same thing with our kids. If you and I don't want to be screaming hyenas at our children because we love them, do we get understandably frustrated? Yes. But our responses are important. Just as we hold our neurodiverse ones accountable for their responses when they become improper, outside the norm, to being hurtful, we are held accountable too. So I am able to be a better mom having a 1-hour grocery trip by myself with a nice craft cup of coffee. Now, I didn't say crap. That was C-R-A-F-T. A craft cup of coffee, nice mocha, and I'm able to just walk by myself shopping. And it's a time of day where it's not crazy. My gosh, that can really rejuvenate me. Just having that time to myself and to think, or an ability to walk early in the morning. As I introduce this concept to you, this is why I'm so passionate about it. The planner that I've developed is every month and week, and on a big perspective every year, looking at the life needs and life roles and seeing what are the areas of our life on life needs and life roles where sometimes that seesaw, it's getting really heavy and low. There is just way too much weight, and there's not enough support on the other side to bring it up to more of a balance. Again, we can never truly get perfect balance. And there's some people who talk about that. Patooey. I mean, they have not lived their lives. They don't understand how you can perfectly plan out your week and have a morning that's just done correctly. You wake early and you have everything planned out. And then when you have the one child who freaks out because the yogurt was a texture that they didn't expect to because the whey had separated, and then they get upset and they throw it, and then it gets on their clothes and a sibling's clothes, and the other sibling has a meltdown. And all of a sudden, what was planned out, that's like a whole 45 minutes to an hour, possibly, depending upon the ages of the kids. When they're younger, they might not be able to adapt to adjust very quickly. And all the time management skills you have in the world, how productive you are, is gone. And even though my kids are older and we've worked through so much stuff, we still have moments where there are discussions we're having and they are circular in nature. And I need to take a long amount of time to help explain different social situations and emotional experiences for them to understand where other parents, they have other challenges with their kids, but they don't have to explain some understood social perspectives and emotional feelings. By throwing out how other people think of time management and instead using this method, I have found the ability to have more peace in my life. My life is not always peaceful, but I have some wonderful moments of peace. And I am able to really enjoy my family in ways that I wasn't able before because I was always in reactive mode. I mean, honestly, just waiting for the next meltdown to happen and on edge because I knew when that meltdown happened, that could have meant arguments or messes or whatever you could think. It's like Murphy. Like, I feel like Murphy. You ever see that? But Murphy's Law and those commercials they have about Murphy showing up. Well, I felt Murphy was like my fourth child because of all the things that are going on in my life. And when I slowly, very slowly, began applying this to my life, I really became addicted in a good way. Like, I wanted more. I loved it. Like, man, like I had a goal for so long. I wanted to take the kids to the park. But at that time of our lives, I was so exhausted and tired from the mental stress, holding the emotional load of thinking about the family and for the kids and with my relationship with my spouse. When I began focusing on my health, I remember the first time where I did not crash in the middle of the afternoon because I was so exhausted for a nap. And I thought, oh my gosh, there's something wrong with me. And then I realized this is what a healthy, normal person would feel like. And by focusing on my health, I was able then to take the kids and do activities that I've been wanting to do, but I needed enough energy because I knew if we went to the park, there was all these foreshadowing I had to do, explain how to be at the park and how to work with people and play with kids, and also have the energy to keep up with them because I have some runners when they were younger and they would just go and I had to be able to chase after them. To have the energy to do that was such a sweet gift, but it only came from me focusing on my health. So again, I want to recap real quick about the life needs, because life roles, I feel like most of us, we got that down pretty pat. We know that really well. In fact, we can feel humongous guilt if we do not take care of our life roles. But life needs is our mind. This is our mental health and even goes into our emotional health. It's challenging our mind, but also calming our mind. It's growing our mind. It's learning about ourselves and even about our family, but also learning how to apply different techniques to help us calm our mind. We're more in a rest mindset. Our physical health, which goes into nutrition, exercising, even into, health can really be humongous. It's category when you look at all the different aspects of health. And then community. This one is so special to me. Having community means that you have a support group of other women who understand. When you explain a situation, like the ones I've been sharing in this episode, when you share that with another woman who has neurodiverse kids or a spouse, they understand it in a deeper way than what those who are loving and caring, but they're not in that world. They understand the nuances and you don't have to explain to them the heaviness of some of the challenges. But then also when you see other women taking courageous steps to take care of themselves, it encourages you to do the same. And also friendships is a part of community. Having friends, whether they're nearby or far away, who you're able to rely on and connect with. And even some point the community can include people who are able to help support you with the kids. And this one usually comes later. That seems to be the most difficult for most women, I find, is having some type of support so that they can get away for periods of time from the children. And the last one is enjoy. And while community brings joy because of seeing people and fellowship and having that connection, there's also things that you enjoy, which could be gardening, it could be crafting, playing the guitar, it could be taking hikes. Oftentimes when we look back to our pre-marriage days, those are things that we really enjoyed. We had stopped because we just couldn't keep it up anymore. That was our mindset. But doing things that you enjoy, no matter how small, gives back so much. So I am excited. I will keep you posted about my planner when it does come out. But just right now, just be thinking about that seesaw or teeter-totter. How heavy is the life roles in your life right now? And how much weight do you have on those life needs? Like, how much time are you spending on your life needs right now? Is it enough that's bringing down that teeter-totter bit and making it a little bit more balanced? Ask yourself this question as we wrap up here. What would it look like if half of the week, and we're not looking at the whole week, just half of the week, your teeter-totter was more in harmony and balanced? There was weight on your life needs. There was time you were spending on yourself, taking care of yourself. And there also was weight and time on the life roles. But that they were more in balance and more in harmony than they ever have been. If you had 3 days a week like that, what would that do for you? I know what it did for me. It radically changed my life. And I liked the person I was when I took care of myself. And I loved being the better, full version of myself. The way I want to be present in the hard and challenging situations with my family, but also taking care of myself. So over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be going through a series, breaking down each of these sections. And next week, we're going to talk about, at the center of this seesaw or teeter-totter, there is this fulcrum, this part that balances our life roles and life needs so that we don't become this martyr who is just always focused on life roles, but we also don't become a diva who is only focused on their life needs. How do we keep that balance? And so that will be next week. And I can't wait to share it with you. And I hope this gives you ideas about your own life. Hey, thank you for joining me today. I pray this episode gave you encouragement to take one small step. If so, please leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts to help other women find this show. By the way, if you're loving this conversation and want more encouragement like this, join my email list at bit.ly/myselfcare. That is bit.ly/myselfcare. I have a planner launching soon that will help you put all this into action in your own life. I look forward to chatting with you again next week for another episode.